So today I want to talk about progressive overload. Now, what is progressive overload? Progressive overload is basically the action of incrementally making things harder just over a long period of time. So as a footballer, I'm talking about mainly just your training. So a lot of players will start complaining and they'll say, "Oh, I'm being consistent. I'm putting in the work. I've been training for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, but I'm still not getting the results that I wanted. I'm still not making those sort of improvements. I'm still not, seeing the benefits, seeing the rewards of my hard work. I feel like my hard work's for nothing. Like, what's going on basically? A lot of young players, fall into this trap of like, they feel like they're consistent, training every day, but they're just not seeing the results. But then once you actually look deeper in their training, once you actually maybe it's one of your friends, or in my case, it'll be one of my friends where it's like, all right, cool. You say you're not making progress. All right, let's actually go have a training session. And then you go to a few training sessions. You go to a few training sessions over maybe over the summer. You go to a few training sessions over the 6 week break, over a 2 month break, however long the break is over the summer. And then you realize you're like, all right, cool. The reason why this guy's not making progress is literally because he's not implementing progressive overload. He's not making things incrementally harder over a period of time. He's literally just staying at this level the whole time. And if you're doing, let's say you're doing the drills at the same intensity, at the same sort of quality, at the same sort of level, if you're just doing that for months on end, you're just repeatedly just doing it at a certain level, how do you expect to become a better player if you're just doing the same drills over and over at the same intensity? What's it called? You're holding yourself to the same standard. If you do that over a period of time, you're not really going to improve because you're comfortable. Nothing happens when you're comfortable. You have to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. You have to, sort of like this comfort, because that's the only way to grow as a person. That's the only way to grow. That's the only way to learn. That's the only way to get better. So as a young player, just make sure you implement progressive overload. If you're going out to training sessions every single day, or at least every other day, and you feel like you're consistent, you're putting in the work, my advice to you would literally just make sure that you're putting yourself out of your comfort zone. Make sure you're increasing the intensity of your drills. Make sure you're mixing your drills up. Don't just, let's say you're a striker, don't just practice shooting all the time, even though you're already good at shooting. Don't just practice, just striking the ball from the edge of the box. Don't just practice, free kicks. Get uncomfortable. Maybe try practice on your first touch, your hold up play. Branch into other areas of your game. Maybe work on your game intelligence. Just little things like that. Let's say you're a midfielder. You're doing a dribbling drill. You're doing a passing drill. Hey, in my opinion, if you're doing it at the same intensity every single time, just up the intensity. Maybe decrease your rest time between the reps and just see how that feels. And if you're feeling very tired after the session, that's a good thing, because eventually you're gonna get used to playing at that intensity. And as soon as you get used to playing at that intensity, guess what? You have to up the level again, and then again, and then again. In my opinion, as soon as you start to feel yourself feeling comfortable, as soon as you start to feel, these drills are getting a bit easy now. Like, as soon as you start to have that, even a slight feeling of comfort, literally just up it another level. Literally, whether that's the intensity or whatever you're training. If you're working to improve your fitness, let's say you're doing shuttle runs, and if let's say you're doing shuttle runs, decrease the rest time between each run. Or let's say you do 3K runs. If you want to increase your fitness, do a 3.5, then do a 4K, then do a 5K, until eventually, maybe a 5K when you first started doing it, it was hard, it was difficult, you were breathing out your ass, you were thinking, oh, I'm so tired. Eventually that 5K is going to become easy. And then guess what? As soon as you feel like that 5K is becoming easy, you either increase the distance. You say, all right, cool, I'm going to do a 6K now. Or you try to beat your time. Just try to beat your time every single time. If you're doing a 5K let's say you're doing a 5K in 22 minutes, instead of you just going out and being like, all right, cool, I'm just going to do my normal 5K. As long as I get 22 minutes, I'm fine. Nah, challenge yourself. Just be like, I'm doing this 5K. I'm going to get sub 21 this time. And then a few weeks later, I'm going to get a sub 20. A few weeks later, I'm going to get a sub 19. Obviously, I think a sub 19 is crazy. Like, a sub 19, like, your fitness, I feel like a sub 19 for a footballer is elite. Obviously, if you're actually like a track athlete, then man do it in like sub 16 seconds. But for a footballer, like sub 19, like that's pretty elite. I can't lie. But just keep doing it until you get to that elite level, and then literally try focus on something else. So maybe you've practiced your fitness, your long distance running. Okay, cool. But how's your speed though? Like then you can start working on your speed. Maybe you do sprints. Maybe you do 60 meters, 100, 80 meters. Maybe you progress to 100 meters. Maybe you can do 100 meters in 13 seconds. At the next session, try do it in. Try cut point one of your time. Maybe once a week. Once every 2 weeks. That's how you prevent yourself from just stagnating. That's how you actually improve. Progressive overload is key. Literally just making things harder, demanding. It's a combination of making drills harder and then also demanding more of yourself, because you can make drills harder, but if you don't demand more of yourself, if you don't push yourself during those drills, you're never actually going to improve. So like I said, it's that combination of making the drills harder, making the drills more intense, but then it's also pushing yourself, demanding more quality from yourself. If you're doing a passing drill where you have to pass between certain gates, yo, you can make it more intense, but yo, if your pass completion is like, let's say you're completing at 5 out of 10, demand from yourself. Say to yourself that says, all right, cool, I need to get 6 out of 10 this time, and then next time 7, 8, 9, 10, and it's literally that's just the key in my opinion, because a lot of people get caught in the trap of they think they're consistent, but they're not actually really pushing themselves. They just train at the same intensity. They've been training at the same intensity for 6 months, a year, even 18 months sometimes. And that's why you see certain people, it's been 2 years, they always post on their story, yeah, I'm putting in the work, I'm grinding, I'm doing this. You see them posting on their stories, but 18 months later, they're still the same player. Maybe one thing is slightly improved. Maybe it's just, maybe like it's slightly improved because, they're just more sharp because they have been getting their touches in, but there hasn't been no real improvement, no real noticeable major improvements, because they've just been training at the same intensity, doing the same drills, not working on their weaknesses, just being comfortable basically. There's certain guys where it's like they've been blessed with pace, but all they want to train is all they want to do is sprint training, where it's like, bro, you've been blessed with the pace, cool, you're a quick player, but what about that first touch? Your first touch isn't great. Yo, let's work on that first touch. Let's work on that 1v1 dribbling ability as a winger, because you're not just gonna be able to hit a step over and then kick it down the line and run for it every single time. What happens when you come up against a guy like Alphonso Davies, Hakimi? You're gonna need to do something more to affect the game. It's just little things like that. So please don't get caught in the trap of even if you're consistent, don't get caught in the trap of just training at the same intensity every single time. Don't get caught in the trap of just doing things that feel comfortable to you, doing the things that you like, doing the things that have always been easy for you, because that's not going to help your game either. If like I said, if you're just constantly, working on your strengths but not addressing major flaws in your game, then you're gonna get eventually you're gonna get exposed. You're not gonna improve. You're never really gonna climb up the ranks, play at a higher level. So that's what I got to say for this vid. Just remember, progressive overload is key. Just it doesn't have to be one day where one day you're doing. I'm just going to use the running example because it's the most easy example, but you can use this for any sort of football drill, any sort of technical drill, fitness drill. But I'm just going to use the long distance running analogy. I'm not saying that one day you're doing 2K runs and then the next day you have to increase it to 5K. Nah, just do it incrementally. Just slow progress. Just slow progress. It doesn't matter how fast you're going, but as long as you're going, you understand. So it's literally just one first week, say, okay, cool, I'm gonna do 2K. I'm gonna do 2K 3 times this week. Then the next week, okay, 2.5 3 times a week. Next week, 3K, then 4K, then 5K, then 6K. Then however much you want to go to, until you feel like, all right, cool, my fitness is at an elite level. I can just sort of maintain at that elite level now. All right, cool. What else is there in my game? All right, cool. I don't I'm I may be a fit player, but I don't play at a quick enough pace. So what do you need to do? All right, cool. I'm gonna just up the intensity in all my drills. Every single rep that I do, I'm gonna decrease the rest time and just play at a quicker level. Just tell myself, yo, I need to play quicker. I need to play quicker. I need to play quicker. Just have more urgency in your game. And basically, that's just how you sort of improve as a holistic player. I can even use myself as an example of this, to be honest, because I remember when I first started training. I remember maybe like the first year of training. I saw major improvements because everything was sort of new to me. This was sort of during the COVID times. I'd never really properly trained by myself. So in the first year, I saw major improvements in my game. But eventually, I'll be honest with myself, I sort of got comfortable. I started doing the same drills every single time. I wasn't really up in my intensity. I wasn't getting, I wasn't getting uncomfortable. I wasn't getting outside of my comfort zone. I started doing things, I started training, doing things that I was already sort of good at, and I was sort of ignoring, the flaws in my game. But I was sort of, but in my head, I was thinking, oh, I'm still being productive. I'm still out here on the pitch. But to be honest, I could have, sped up my progress so much more if I just had that mentality. I could have sped up my progress so much more if I had that mentality when I was, 15, 16. If I just said to myself, yo, what am I actually bad at? Like, what could I actually improve? So obviously, but obviously I didn't do that. But it was only until I was like, what, 18 years old, where I was like, all right, cool. I actually need to, I have flaws in my game. I actually need to address. Like, all right, cool. What do I need to do? I'm not quick enough. Let me actually, work on my pace, work on my speed. Because I remember when I was young, I always had this mentality of like, speed is not something you can improve. It's either you're fast or you're not. That's the mentality I had. And my advice to young players is never have that mentality. Never have that mentality of like, I'm good at this, and this, but I'm not good at this, and this. And that's how it will always be. If you have a bad first touch, don't say to yourself, I just wasn't blessed with a good first touch, but other people were blessed with a good first touch, but I wasn't. Don't have the mentality, because like I said, I used to think, I just wasn't born fast, so I just will never work on my speed. I'm just not. That's just not who I am. But it's like, nah, like you can fully. Basically, pretty much everything in football is a skill, and a skill means that you can work on it to get better. So I just worked on my pace, worked on my, the physical aspects, my pace, my agility. Okay, cool. What else am I not good at? I call my dribbling. I'm not the best dribbler. Yeah, I can pass the ball. I've got a good first touch. I can, I can spray a ball, but my dribbling, I'm not a great dribbler. I wasn't blessed with great dribbling. Let me work on that. Let me work on, manipulating the ball with both feet, because yeah, I can pass with my left foot. Yeah, I can shoot with my left foot, but I can't really dribble with my left foot and manipulate the ball with my left foot. Anytime I try, dribble with my left foot, I feel off balance. So let me work on that. And it's literally just things like this where I was like, all right, let me actually push myself. Same with the intensity in the actual drills. Let me work on my speed of play, my urgency. And this came from, like I said, decreasing the rest times in my sets, and literally just pushing myself, just pushing myself. Even when I was training, even when I was tired, I was like, yo, I have to go for the next rep and the next rep and the next rep. Getting used to being able to perform under fatigue. I feel like that was a big thing for me. Being able to be tired, but still be tired physically, but still being mentally strong enough to, make sure that weight of pass is there. Make sure that cross is to its intended target. Make sure that I can still carry the ball. If I need to carry the ball, even if I'm physically fatigued, I can still carry the ball, play that pass. I can still, if a chance falls to me in the box and I'm fatigued, I can still have the mental concentration, the mental toughness to, still take that touch, stay composed, and finish it into the corners. Just little things like that. So yeah, even me as a player, I feel like there was sort of like a 6 month period where I got comfortable. I wasn't really pushing myself. Like I said, I was only doing things that I was good at. I wasn't actually doing things that actually, improved me as a holistic player. So that's what I say to you guys. Don't get caught in that trap. Literally just start picking things out of your game to improve. Obviously, you can still work on your strengths. Your strengths are the ones that's going to make you stand out, going to make you stand out to, coaches at a higher level. Maybe if you're that age, academy level coaches, first team coaches. Obviously, your strengths are sort of who you are as a player, but don't neglect those weaknesses. Make sure your weaknesses are at like a 6 out of 10 at least. Get those weaknesses to a 6 out of 10. Get the strengths up to a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. And yeah, and trust me, you become a better player. You'll become a better player overall. There'll be no glaring holes in your game. And yeah, trust me, you'll be head and shoulders above everyone else that you're playing with, and eventually you'll get to, your highest level. You achieve your potential as a footballer. So that's all I've got to say for this vid. I hope you enjoyed. I've been JT, and I'm out.